Welcome. Trauma is my jam, and by that I mean I help you understand what your body is doing. Let's make sense of it together.
Have you ever had one of those moments where something small feels like too much? Maybe someone asked you a simple question and suddenly you feel irritated, overwhelmed, or like you want to shut down. Or maybe things are finally going really well. And instead of feeling calm, your body feels anxious, restless, or on edge. If that happens to you, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you are failing. And it does not mean you are too sensitive. Throw that garbage where it belongs. That too sensitive bullshit. Oh, heard that my whole life. Sorry, trigger. You just saw me have a trigger there. Anyways, all right. All of this may simply mean that your nervous system is moving outside of what is called your window of tolerance. And today, I want to talk about what window of tolerance means and why trauma can shrink that window, and how healing is often not about becoming perfect or calm all the time. What it is actually about is slowly helping your body hold more life without going into survival mode, because that is what expanding your window of tolerance really is. It's not becoming emotionless. It's not about never getting triggered. As you just saw, I clearly triggered myself in this video. It is about building the capacity to stay more present, more grounded, and more connected, even when life feels hard. Now, your window of tolerance is a range where your nervous system can handle stress, emotion, stimulation, or changes without becoming overwhelmed or shutting down. Inside that window, you can think clearly. That prefrontal cortex is online and working. You can feel emotions without being completely taken over by them. You can respond instead of react. And most importantly, you can stay connected to yourself and to other people. You can problem solve, you can recover. Now, that doesn't mean everything feels easy inside the window. You can still feel stress. You can still feel sadness, frustration, fear, and disappointment. But your body is not going to completely flip into survival mode if you do. You still have access to yourself. And that is the key. When you move outside your window of tolerance, your nervous system starts doing what it learned to do. And remember, everything it's learned to do was designed to protect you. Now, for some people, this is going to look like hyperarousal. Hyperarousal. And it can feel like panic, anxiety, racing thoughts, irritability, anger, restlessness, overthinking, or feeling like you need to do something right now. For other people, this is going to look like hypoarousal. Hypoarousal. And that is going to feel like numbness, disconnection, shutting down, exhaustion, fogginess, collapse, or feeling like you just can't deal with anything anymore. And sometimes, some of us move through both. That is why one day you might feel wired and overwhelmed, and the next day feel flat, detached, and exhausted. This is not inconsistency. This is a nervous system trying to protect you. When you live through trauma, chronic stress, emotional neglect, unpredictability, or environments where you did not feel safe, your nervous system learned that it had to stay ready. Ready for disappointment, ready for conflict, ready for rejection, ready for danger, ready for things to change without warning. And so over time, your system becomes more sensitive, not because it's weak, because it had to adapt. And that often means your window of tolerance gets smaller and smaller. So things that other people might brush off can feel huge in your body. A delayed text, a shift in tone, a change in plans, a busy room, too much noise, being asked to make a decision on the fly, even positive things, especially if positive things used to come with instability, letdown, or loss. That is why healing can feel so confusing, because you may want more peace, more connection, more success, and more love. But when those things start showing up, your body may not immediately experience them as safe. In fact, my experience is your body is going to tell you that you are in active threat in that moment because it's unfamiliar and it doesn't know what to do with positive things. Your body doesn't just respond to what is happening, it responds through the lens of what it has learned and experienced before. Now, this is something that I've been feeling myself recently. Being in a season of change, even good change, does not automatically mean the body relaxes. In my experience, it's been quite the opposite. My mind knows this is good, this is aligned, this is what we want, but my body is still bracing. The tightness of the chest, the restlessness, the sense that something is off, not because something is wrong, but because my body doesn't know how to move through this positive change. It still sees change as bad. And that's because a trauma shaped nervous system is unfamiliar. And remember, unfamiliar equals unsafe in your body. This is why healing is not just about mindset. It's not just about convincing yourself that everything is okay. It's about helping your body actually experience enough safety, enough repetition, enough grounding that your body, starts to believe in safety as well. Now, one of the biggest shifts in trauma is realizing that the goal is not to never get dysregulated. That is never going to happen. The goal is not to perform calm. The goal is not to force yourself to be okay when you're not. The goal is to increase your capacity to hold, capacity to feel, capacity to stay present, and capacity to move through discomfort without immediately going into survival. It's about learning the capacity to come back to yourself more gently and more quickly. And that is what expanding your window of tolerance is. It is being able to hold a little bit more stress without spiraling, a little more emotion without shutting down, a little more uncertainty without losing yourself, and a little more joy without bracing for disaster. And this matters because a lot of people judge themselves when they're dysregulated. They think, I should be further along by now. Or, why is this happening? Or, I know better. Why can't I handle this? And literally, I had 2 out of those 3 thoughts when I had a little bit of a trigger in the beginning of this video. Like, you should be further along than this, Pam, teaching people trauma. Or, you know better. You should have been able to handle that. But see, here's the thing that I know more than anything else. Trauma healing is not about knowledge alone. If it was, I would have been healed decades ago. You can understand exactly what is happening in your body and in your brain and still struggle to stay regulated. Now, insight is important, but our nervous system learns through experience and repetition. Now, let's look at what actually helps to expand your window of tolerance. And listen, it's not the big dramatic things people think. Usually it is smaller, softer, more consistent things. It is learning how to notice when you are leaving your window of tolerance. It is learning what helps you bring yourself back. It is building safety in the body in little moments every single day. And it is increasing your capacity bit by bit instead of forcing yourself into overwhelm and calling that growth. Because listen, overwhelming yourself is not the same as healing. Healing is not flooding your system. Healing is helping your system trust that it does not have to go there every time. So what helps? First, awareness. Now, in order to gain that awareness of what it feels like when you start to move outside of it, you may have to start by asking yourself some questions. Like, do you get tightness in your chest? Do your thoughts speed up? Do you get snappy? Do you go quiet? Do you feel foggy? Do you want to disappear? Do you feel like you need to fix everything immediately? Awareness matters because you cannot support your nervous system if you do not recognize what state it is in. Second step, regulation before reasoning. When you are outside your window of tolerance, that is usually not the best time to force yourself to think your way out of it. Because remember, all the systems are going off in your brain, and your logic and the prefrontal cortex system of your brain starts to power down. So, what you want to do is in that moment, you need to support your body first. Again, that comes back to slowing your breathing, reducing stimulation. So maybe you need to step away from the environment you're in, stepping outside to help ground you and give you a moment of peace, putting your hand on your chest or somewhere on your body if that feels safe to bring awareness back into your body, or pressing your feet firmly into the ground. Cold water on your wrist, body scanning and softening parts of your body that are feeling stressed, naming what's happening by saying, like, this is activation right now. My body is bracing. I'm feeling overwhelmed, you know, and telling yourself, this makes sense. Be kind to yourself. And listen, there is something huge to be said for using kind language to yourself, especially when you're dysregulated. And for me, the trick was to have to talk to myself like I was talking to my best friend. Because listen, I can tell myself some pretty horrible things, but I would never say any of those things to my best friend. So, in order to trick myself to start loving myself and using kinder language with myself, I had to teach myself to talk to myself as if I was talking to my best friend, Barb. The truth is, kind language is incredibly regulating. Now, the third thing you're going to do is a small, repeated experience of safety. Now, this is huge. This is the part people often leave out. Your nervous system changes through repetition, not through one perfect breakthrough, not through one calm day, but through repeated moments where your body gets the message, I can be here, I can move through whatever this situation is, and I can be safe. The key to all of this is to go through this process slowly. You're not forcing yourself to process everything at once. In fact, if you're trying to do that, you're actually causing more harm to your nervous system. You're not pushing yourself so hard that your nervous system gets overwhelmed and reinforces its fear. I'm going to give you an example of a way in which, in my recovery journey many, many years ago, I learned to build up tolerance where I could go into the Walmart and buy diapers. You heard me. I could not go into the Walmart in my town many, many decades ago when I became a mother by myself because it was so overwhelming for me. Like the panic attacks that I would have going in there. And thankfully, I worked with a counselor that talked about building up tolerance. Her recommendation was not, you need to go in this weekend, get into Walmart and do what you need to do. We broke it down into steps. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you, it probably took about 6 months before I was actually able to go into the Walmart and have like a successful 10-minute picking up a shopping list of stuff. But we started off small. We started off of me going to the Walmart and just standing outside the Walmart and just breathing and letting myself know that I could be safe and then leaving. And a couple weeks later, that moved to, can I go into the front doors of the store and stand there for a moment, have a breath, and walk out. Eventually, it progressed to, can I write down one item that I know is at the front of the store next to the cash register? And can I go in and purchase that one item and leave? And eventually, it came to the place where now I don't even think twice where I go into Walmart. I'm not going to say I'm happy to go into Walmart, but and I don't want to push the Walmart brand because they are super corrupt. But that was how we did it, right? We worked on little steps and little moments of exposure and letting my body know that I was safe. In order for me to get to the point where today, when I think about it and I tell people like there was a time where I couldn't go into Walmart and buy diapers and formula for my baby, I share that story with you about Walmart because it is a primary kind of ridiculous kind of example from my own personal healing and growth of where slowly and with time I was able to extend my window of tolerance of being able to go in and shop and get items I needed for my family in the Walmart. The truth is, in trauma work, gentle is way more effective than force. Because our body learns through repetition and patterns. So when we can slow down enough to stay in our body and stay with the experience, when we can slow down enough to provide that little moment of safety, when we can slow down enough to allow the integration to happen, that is what healing looks like. That is when healing happens. Now, expanding your window of tolerance in real life sometimes will look dramatic. Sometimes it's going to be so subtle you almost missed it. It can look like noticing you are triggered and then pausing before you react. It looks like recovering from conflict in an hour instead of days. It can look like staying present during a hard conversation. It can look like crying without feeling like you're falling apart. It can look like tolerating uncertainty without needing immediate reassurance. It can look like receiving something good without immediately waiting for it to disappear. It can look like resting without guilt. And it can look like saying, I need a moment instead of abandoning yourself. And lastly, it can look like being able to feel excitement and fear at the same time. That matters too, because healing doesn't always remove fear first. Sometimes it teaches you how to stay connected to yourself while fear is present. What doesn't help, which I know that I'm guilty of, and I know many of my clients experience this as well. But here's what's not helpful: shaming yourself, comparing yourself, forcing yourself in environments or conversations your body is not ready for, calling yourself dramatic when your nervous system is overloaded, thinking that because you got triggered, all the healing work you have done is disappeared. That's not how it works. Healing is not linear, and progress is not measured by whether you got activated. Progress is measured by what happened next. Did you notice it sooner? Were you able to use a tool and regulate yourself? Did you speak to yourself differently? Did you bounce back and recover faster? Did you choose gentleness instead of self-attack? That is what counts in healing. So, if you've been feeling like your body cannot handle things the way you wish it could, I want to offer you this reframe. Maybe the issue is not that you're incapable. Maybe your nervous system has just been carrying more than most people can see. Maybe your body learned to live in protection. Maybe it had not had enough repeated experiences of safety yet. And maybe right now, your work is not to become someone else. Maybe it is slowly helping your system discover that it can hold a little more life. And it can hold a little more life with ease. It can hold a little more uncertainty and a little more emotion without leaving you. That is sacred work. That is nervous system healing. That is trauma healing. So, here's something simple you can try this week. Ask yourself once a day, just once a day, what state is my nervous system in now? Not what's wrong with me, why am I like this, how do I force myself to do better? Just what state am I in right now? Allow the answer, then follow that up with what would help me feel 5% safer and more supported in this moment. Again, we're not looking to fix, we're not looking for perfection, just 5% safer. And maybe that's a glass of water. Maybe it's a deep breath. Maybe it's inviting some gentle movement into your body. Maybe it's putting your phone down. Maybe it's reminding yourself that activation is not danger, because healing begins there, not in the doing everything right, but in learning how to meet yourself differently. All right, friends, that is it for this video. If it resonated with you, I want you to know you're not broken, your system adapted, and healing is not about becoming less human. It's about helping your body feel safe enough to stay present in your life. Little by little, your window can expand, and little by little, your body can learn something new. You can build a life that feels safer to live inside. And that's what matters, because trauma may have shaped your nervous system, but it doesn't have to be the end of your story. All right, friends, I lost my light. Clearly, we've moved into the cloudy part of my day. So that's it for me today. If this video resonated with you, I do ask that you do all the things like share, comment to help spread awareness and bring this information to more people that need it and can use it. And if you feel called to work with me one-on-one, this is the work I do. I do trauma-informed counseling. I do Reiki and energy healing. And I also do trauma-informed education through Insight Learning Institute. So if you're interested in expanding your journey and working perhaps with me personally, then you can find my information in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.